We are tWoTcast, episode 256.
Try it again. Fuck you.
I can't. There's like 100 people out here. We are tWoTcast, episode 256. Is that cool for the viewers?
It's fucking low. It's definitely cool for the viewers.
All right, everyone, shut the fuck up.
Wheel of Time. Reread podcast. Explicit and R freaking rated. Jono's the wild card, always talking shit. Joe's the straight man. He's a total dick. Tom calls in if he's not too busy. We are tWoTcast.
You're listening to tWoTcast, the Wheel of Time read podcast. Now covering Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, Book 1, The Eye of the World. With me is Jono.
Jono.
Joe.
Hi, Tom. Hi.
And I'm Tom. Study your math.
Hey,
I did it.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Jono.
Hey.
I don't know if you guys were paying attention to all the things that Brandon Sanderson has said lately.
I've been seeing a little bit of it, but not too much.
I mean, there's only one thing in particular that I want to talk about.
Is it Sanderson news? Sort of news.
It's not news.
Does it involve Mormonism?
No.
Does it involve
his endings in the book?
Oh, my bad.
Well, I guess before I talk about this, spoiler warning, we're a reread podcast. We do whatever the fuck we want. Anyway, so Fane, he said basically like they forced him to keep Fane's ending that way, and he wanted to change it. And it's like one of the one things he would have changed.
But in which way? Would it have been better or worse?
More, as in more like here. He wanted it to be more like what we've always talked about. Like maybe he should have been like a new evil, or like, you know, like he kind of said a lot of the things that like kind of got close to like what we've been talking about all this time, or just like more than just a shitty death, you know, kind of thing, and like a petering out of his story arc. So apparently that was kind of Robert Jordan's notes were not strong, but like relatively like this is specifically how he dies and. You know, or something like that. So they didn't have like a way of getting him there and keeping it Robert Jordan's vision without completely changing that. They didn't want to change it, obviously, for obvious reasons. But like, I mean, so he was like, this is one of the one things I want to change. And apparently he conveyed this to Rafe Judkins. So maybe the show will be different.
So as a quick piece of background,
just saying,
read the last
that'd
book,
be interesting.
Oh, no, agreed. Anyone who's read the last book has realized that it's awesome. And then one of the most formidable, fucked up, devilish characters dies the death of like almost like slipping on a bar of soap. And it really just kind of goes. I'm sorry. He walks out of the house and he's trying to rob, slips on ice, and dead. And
actually, maybe he committed suicide.
Crowbar cracks him on the skull. He dies.
Yeah, maybe. But he's a Fane. Fanes are stupid. But it's fucking awful. Like he's so built up, so evil, so fucking just perfectly insane. And then all of a sudden it's...
I mean, to be fair, he does like disappear for many books at the end. And it's not just because of Brandon Sanderson. You know what I mean? Like he was kind of like fading out after like 7, 8, you know, like 9 and 10, like he wasn't really there. Right?
Disagree. In 9, he kills multiple characters.
Is 9 where he's fighting the king of who becomes the king of Tyr and whatnot?
No, 9 is in the middle of what is it called? God, town where you can't channel, and he's killing people to get Rand's interest, and like he's killing.
Oh yeah. You're right.
He's enough around at the end there. Look, kill the Dark One, and then seal Fane up, and then kind of allude to the fact that. He's a new Dark One with all these new evils swirling around.
I mean, I think that's the greatest idea that's ever been said about his ending.
Well, especially oddly enough, perfectly.
He could still even die the same way. It could just be like kill him and then go like we need to bury this because he's pure evil and he's like melting into the ground or something. He
should be unkillable, and that's why they should have to we'll just put him in this little ball that we seal up, and we'll just leave him right here, right by a child goal. We'll move on with our lives.
There were two ways.
So among other cool things. Oh, go ahead, Jono. Go ahead.
There are two ways it could have gone. Like one, it could have died at the end of the cleansing, because the cleansing is the culmination of Shadar Logoth and the original Taint. So like him dying, like somehow appearing on set, dying there because he is that combination himself. Okay, there you go. Or he could have gone almost like all the way to the very end, because like the whole point of him is, again, he's that culmination of the two things mixing. And like the part that we're going to read today, spoilers, has the idea that he's been imprinted with part of the Dark One's essence.
Yeah, part of the Dark One, and then two other evils that nobody can even explain.
Yeah.
It's forming a whole new evil that's unbeatable. It's like vaguely unbeatable while we're reading.
After he cuts Rand's wound in his side, you know? Yeah. And granted, Rand almost dies, and it takes him quite a bit of time to really kind of get back on his feet in the next book after that. But like, I was always expecting like maybe not that book, but like the next book to be like, all right, I'm going after Fane. These Forsaken have to wait a minute. Like, this guy is fucking me up every chance he gets, and I need to, like, I was expecting a book at some point to like focus on him as the villain before the end, you know, like, and it just kind of never happened. And I was like,
I love the idea, Joe, because like he's so personal to him. Like, you know, Fane is what has created book 4 for Perrin.
Yes, he's so personal to him, almost as if the dragon has been locked in a battle with the Dark One forever. It would be weird if Rand killed the Dark One and then Fane became the new Dark One, and the Dark One was still locked in eternal battle with the dragon.
Yes.
Just do it!
Like an awesome way of ending that story.
Rewrite that book!
Hopefully that worm has been thoroughly placed in Rafe Judkins' ear.
Ooh, worm, because his name is Worm Tongue.
It's really the only flaw for me.
It kind of is for me too. I mean, I wanted more people to die in the last book, but like, that's fine, whatever. You know, like, it's not something I would be like, I'm upset. But the Fane thing is the only part that I'm just like, man, really dropped a ball on that one.
You think that? I always think that, but at the same time, I'm glad like the majority, I guess, got a happy ending.
Oh, 100%.
Go ahead, Jono. Go ahead. Yeah, there we go. All right.
Yeah, no, but I'm with both of you. I mean, the point is, like, I feel like,
I mean, I definitely wanted David Hanlon, the master rapist, to murder Elaine.
Yeah,
it's weird because you want to see what the what the end is for these main characters, but like I just started rereading Dragonlance, and I pretty much remember how all of them die at some point in the series, and like it's a fucking bummer.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Like, there's no satisfying way to do it.
Serious too. Fuck.
Even old age, I'm just like, no.
It's a big deal when Sturm dies, bro.
The only one that doesn't technically die is Tasselhoff, because he's like forever locked into like this weird time travel thing that he can show up at any time in any place.
The amount of times that I think about how curiosity killed the Kinder when I'm playing with my cat, I'm like, that's really dumb. Fucking stupid. I haven't read this book in like 15 years.
I know. I'm just rereading and I forgot how much I fucking loved how dumb he is. It's fantastic.
That's all good
shit.
Like the first book.
Wrestling's the best character. Come on.
He's the Matt Cawthon of Dragonlance.
Yeah. What's rat?
Oh, we lost that.
Jono, what'd you say?
Wrestling. Who was he in Wheel of Time?
Oh, interesting.
Shit. One of the Forsaken. Lanfear.
Yeah, somebody that turns evil.
No.
Yeah, maybe evil but turns back to good.
But like multiple times.
Wrestling never turns back. Wrestling's not good and never was.
But Wrestling's like he wants to do okay for his brother, but also
yeah, kind of. He has some soft-hearted moments, but in general.
Did you read those books that are all about that? Like the two of them?
Yeah, the trilogy of the brothers. Yeah.
Did you read the new ones when they came out? I mean, shit, it's a long time ago at this point, I guess. But like the
summer one,
Hickman, they're like trilogy.
I did.
Did they write more? They wrote like 2 more after that, right?
I think like everybody.
Initially, it was just the summer.
Everybody dies in those, and they eventually try to assemble like a new companions out of the kids, and it's just like, I don't know about that.
It's fascinating because it's like a look into like what happens when you just kind of like let it go, but don't, and just kind of. Good Lord,
Caramon's fat the whole time.
Should we start this?
I like that. I love that Caramon's fat. We're in small talk. We have started.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I'm going to be interested for you to like check in with us on where you are in the Dragonlance books because I don't have the energy to reread those. So definitely keep us posted on like what's going on as you're reading those because those are awesome. Something it would probably be another 10 years before I ever got back around to like picking those up again.
I don't know if you saw me tweet about it, just being like, oh, I'm going to read all these in a year. And then I realized it would cost like $1,500
just to buy them.
If they cost like $10 a piece,
let alone the time to read them.
I'm going to read like one or two a month for like a long, long time.
Yeah. It's going to make this dumbass 250 podcast look like, well, that was easy.
We'll just have like a miniature check-in reread of Dragonlance with Tom like every other episode or something. It's just something like
I've got 50 pages to go in the first book, so I'll finish that tomorrow and start the second one. So I'll just
how about this? When you finish the book, kind of tell us how it was. How about that?
I can tell you how it was the first one right now.
Is that Autumn
You're 50 pages from the end, Tom. That's impossible.
Yeah, that's true. We'll do it next time. We'll do we'll call it Dragonlance check-in. We'll have theme music. It'll be fantastic.
What's the name of the goddamn book? I can't remember.
Dragons of Autumn Twilight.
Dragons of Autumn Twilight. It's called Quantum of Solace in the Fall.
I like that. Yeah.
The next one is Spring Living Daylights.
Winter Casino Royale.
The best two parts so far, just looking back, I guess, hold on, we're doing Dragonlance check-in.
Dragonlance check-in.
It's just the Seinfeld music.
In the first book, my favorite parts are either when Tasselhoff and Flint get drunk when they're going to Zaxxara, that city, when they're walking through the swamp. That's pretty hilarious. Or when Tasselhoff almost gets killed by a dragon, or he thinks he's about to die, so he closes his eyes because he's about to burn to death. And then he opens them because he realizes he's never seen a dragon breathe fire before and he's not about to miss the chance, especially since it's going to be his last chance.
That's fantastic.
It's funny to remember that Kendra are not afraid of anything. So like,
I forgot.
A moment where they're about to die is like more curiosity than something to be afraid of.
Well, yeah, as it should be. It's like sex.
Yeah, but so far the reread, fantastic. It's a great book. Right. I don't know what I would think if I had been reading it for the first time, but it's great to revisit.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to reading like that trilogy, maybe the Brothers trilogy, and then maybe the summer one or something like that.
Yeah, the finales.
I think just those like 7 books or so. I wouldn't mind rereading those.
I mean, we should probably put on the table what we think were like our foundational novels. Not now, because we've been doing this for 20 minutes, but like what are our foundational novels? Like whether they're Terry Brooks, whether they're these, whether they're, some people.
No, it's definitely Dragonlance for me, for 100%.
Yeah.
Me too.
Me too, 100%.
I also read those, what was the little boy that was like a chosen one, but not Harry Potter?
Jesus.
The Belgariad.
I read all of those books.
I like those a lot too.
No, I read all of David Eddings.
Before the Wheel of Time?
No, I was reading those concurrently with the Wheel of Time.
I read them after.
Before the I mean, it was while the series was going, I read all those books. But I mean, like, I definitely started the Wheel of Time when I read those books.
Well,
those were like filler books waiting for the Wheel of Time to come out. I was like reading other stuff. But yeah, foundationally Dragonlance for sure, like 100%. I never really read any of the Forgotten Realms.
Well, let's do that next time as a topic, like as an actual, like, just kind of like, how did you start?
Dragonlance. There, we did it.
Yeah, we got that.
I finally finished that second book in the Girl Who Does Things books.
Oh,
So
the
the very last one. What's that?
And until they keep doing another money grab and put out another.
Very possibly. But this is the last book in this like part of the trilogy, or this second trilogy. So after this, I'm done for a while.
All right,
There's
before
the girl who bent over in quarantine.
Shit.
This is the girl who lived twice.
The girl who bent over in quarantine, there's literally billions of them right now on the planet Earth.
It's kind of great. Like there's steady stream.
Guys, that's sexist. That's sexist.
Well, I mean, or the guy that had sex with a girl that bent over in quarantine, or just did missionary. It's quarantine. Nobody has anything else to do.
The guy that lay on his back lazily.
The guy who just did missionary is the name.
While sex happened.
All right,
Less positions every time.
Before I start this off, did you guys read other? Dragonlance was just D&D, right? Like their umbrella.
Yeah.
Did you read any others?
Yeah.
I read Dark Sun. I like that a lot. Did you ever read that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, those were good.
Are you talking about in the D&D realm?
Yeah. What was the other one with Drizzits?
Drizzt Do'Urden.
Those are technically different. Those are not like the Drizzt Do'Urden one.
What are they? Forgotten Realms?
Yeah,
Forgotten Realms.
I've said
I
that
read about
that.
But they're all. It's all still the same umbrella company. Those.
Yeah,
they're polar opposites. Way different.
They're books that are based on weird nerds playing D&D, as Tom's point, John.
Yeah, but they were different, like ownership. The answer is, by the way.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, they're a different company.
I read about 30.
They all had that same title card, basically, with just like the different names on it.
Well, it was Forgotten Realms versus whatever the fuck.
Dragonlance.
Yeah, Dragonlance. So,
but all under D&D.
No. They weren't owned together, were they? No, I don't think they were owned together.
Because I thought Dark Sun was all part of that too.
No, I think Forgotten Realms was a D&D land, whereas Dragonlance, and again, I could be wildly wrong, 100%. Whereas
Dragonlance is Tracy Hickman and whatever his name,
Margaret Wise,
playing D&D. And they just
playing D&D and saying, "We'll make our own shit."
Yeah. No, and that book literally reads like a
D&D game.
They wrote a book about a D&D game.
Yeah, we started off at an end,
and obviously it very quickly diverges from that. But.
Like one of the first encounters they have, like Sturm goes to fight, and then like before he even hits somebody with a sword, like somebody rakes him across the forehead, and there's blood in his eyes, and he's on the ground, and I'm just like, he rolled a 1.
That guy rolled a 1. Obviously.
That's exactly how it reads. I'm like,
it was actually our really shitty adventures with tWoTcast playing D&D. Varlin Marta and all the others, just like.
Hey, remember when we made up D&D characters for the Wheel of Time?
I do.
It was the worst.
That was fun. It was good. It was good, Jono.
It was.
If Jimmy had been a more assertive force.
I don't think we should blame
as
Jimmy.
A game master, as a dungeon master. No, I'm just saying, like, if he had been more like letting us do our stupid jokes the whole time and been more like, let's run this on a rail and keep these idiots focused, it might have been something we kept going.
I think it went really well. You know, my biggest problem with those is like they're inaudible when I listen back.
I haven't listened to those in a million years. But I guess I'll get to eventually whenever we get to the news.
So
bring it all in.
This is our episode covering the Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, chapters 46 through 48. Is that right?
That's correct. That is correct.
Did that from memory.
What a memory. Hey, you must drink a lot to think that's good.
So the next section is chapters 49 through 53, which is the end of the book. But I mean, which is a decent amount of chapters, but obviously the page count must be small because that's how I do it.
Spoiler
warning. When I got to this part, I was like, holy shit.
By the way, spoiler warning.
Oh, spoiler warning. Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to well, like shit. every spoiler. We talked about the last book. You spoilered that. All right, so recap for chapter
I put spoilers at the top
40
of this episode.
Chapter 46. I'll give you the recap, but I need somebody to give me the title of the chapter.
It's called Faldera.
All right, here we go.
Wow, it's a ranch POV.
That really tight. Just gonna let that go until it's done. Ties in my recap. All right, the gang travels to Faldera. Lan is famous. They ask him to go to Tarwin's Gap. He's not going to go. They have dinner. Fane arrives.
That is a fantastic recap. You're really good.
I don't know if you noticed I kept the Sunny theme going.
I did notice that. I was laughing, but I had myself on mute so I wouldn't talk over you. But yeah, I laughed at that.
You know, I honestly don't remember if that got on the episode last week or if it got deleted.
I don't know if it did or not either.
So now instead of referencing it up front, we're just going to do it all the time.
No, I think you did it. I think you did it from the at least for the last chapter. I don't know about the other ones.
So I've got some great news, Tom, Joe. It's time for Goddamn I Hate Jono, because my book.
God damn it, I hate Jono.
With a motherfucking map right here.
You fucking idiot.
One of my favorite things about book 1, and I think book 2 has it as well, but not as many have it, is just kind of like, there's 3 or 4 different just kind of mini maps throughout, sprinkled through it just to kind of show you where you are. And this one is just kind of northeast. I refuse to call it Ranland. The northeastern part of the map.
I always call it the Westlands.
Well,
I don't think I called it anything, but I do not like Randland either.
I always hated Randland.
I'm with Tom. But what's funny is, like, there's very little, like.
Well, he should have fucking named the continent, goddammit, because he's pissed. He made all these nerds make up a name that we all hate.
Well, technically, you don't want the continent. You want the subcontinent.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But one of the things that most interests me is the fact that there's this thing called the Shadow's Lance, which I thought was really cool. It's this part where the blight protrudes, like, looks like 50, 40, 60 miles, like, further south. And, like, I kind of thought that was a really cool jumping off area, because we're about to get into, like, why it is Tarwin's Gap always has a fight, and it's like kind of like an annual, like, spring.
That is pretty cool.
Frolics. But I don't think it's ever mentioned. It's just there on this one map, and that's it. Well, it's never mentioned beyond that. So,
wait, is the Tarwin's Gap fight annual?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Like the tribes build up over the wintertime, and every spring they ride out and fucking kill them all?
It does seem like a regular event.
Yeah, it seems semi-regular. I just didn't know it was going to be like, hey, it's Tarwin's Gap Day.
Happy winter.
They should have events and crown the Tarwin's Gap Queen.
The Gap Queen sounds different than what you think it is. Her pussy like Tarvalon.
I like Gap Queen.
Yeah. It's just a giant fucking flooding gateway like Tarvalon.
No, not like that. I just mean like a girl that's in a nice tight pair of jeans and she's got a good gap. It's a good thigh gap.
Yeah, it's a good gap. Gap.
You know, thigh gap's important.
Queen, ooh, sodomy. That's the song.
Jordan also paints a nice picture of the Borderlands here for the first time. It's kind of cool.
It is.
I mean, even though it's an abandoned farmhouse, but I mean, basically just like you get to see the fort from the outside, and he's like, this is not made for beauty. It's just there to kill Trollocs, you know, kind of thing. It's like really, everything's matter of fact. Everyone's it's fucking cold.
Could you imagine living there? Like every year?
No, like suck balls.
It's like either the husband or the wife at least once a year is going to be like, why don't we just move? And the other one's going to be like, I don't know, our friends are here. Like,
duty is heavier than a mountain. All right, so last piece here. One thing I do find interesting, or another thing I find interesting, because I find everything interesting, until
that's goddamn true.
Big white book comes out.
Yeah.
This is our first look at really what the Borderlands with Malkier look like, because it's got where the Seven Towers are, where Tarwin's Gap really is, and then the pot. So it really kind of is how small.
You're still on this fucking map?
Yeah.
Get to the book.
It really kind of shows how small Malkir was, but at the same time, like, how far north it jutted. It's kind of...
Yeah, because the true Borderlands kind of just run in a line.
Yeah. Except for apparently...
And then Algamar is like, yeah, we were, until like very recently, we weren't really a borderland, technically. We were behind another land.
It's almost like, well, why the fuck did you guys do that? Why don't you... Because Carrigan's really not that far. It's pretty far, but like...
All right, moving the fuck on. Parent spots and rest.
Damn it.
Land's like, hoods down, bitches.
Yeah, we're at the city now, right?
Yeah,
I think John has mapped toward us through the land. We're at the city.
Where
they meet Ragan.
I always called him
Basically,
Reagan.
everyone has a shitload of respect for land, and they're all like, "You gonna fly the Golden Crane again, bro?" He's like, "Get the fuck out of here, kid."
Yeah. They're like, "Oh, you came just in time."
He's like, "No, I didn't. You're fucked. Not doing it. Don't care who dies."
Look at Jono.
Jesus, man.
Can I go with two things?
Oh, fuck. Two things, Jono.
All right.
Two.
First off, Perrin does this delightful version of outing himself with his eyesight on the way.
Yeah, I just said that. I said Perrin spots rust. We moved on.
But if you remember, the girls are like, wow, those curtains way too light or way too heavy for this type of winter. And Perrin's like, no, it's just the shade, the fucking rust. And then Rand's just like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? No, would never have guessed it. And then secondly, Loyal mentions that a whole bunch of Ogier actually see the Green Man as opposed to real humans. And I think that's just like, it's kind of a cool detail and may explain a lot of how, like we get glimpses of what happened during the Age of Legends, because while, Nim has lost a lot of memories because, blown off head halfway.
Same way. It's probably the same way that a lot of Sasquatches see Bigfoot.
Penis?
I think you meant a lot of Yetis who see Sasquatch this time. Obviously.
I thought he was quoting Tenacious D's Sasquatch song. I was like, that's a deep cut, but go on.
So we meet Ingtar, who is not a dark friend.
Not at all.
And he tells them how hard the winter was and how there's way too many Trolloc camps up in the Blight. And every raid just reveals more Trolloc camps, and they're freaking out about the numbers. And he basically takes them all the way into Algamar's study, and we meet Algamar.
Is Ingtar the least dark friend of all dark friends? I love him.
I do.
I guess Varen is the least dark friend of all dark friends.
I mean, he's kind of a little bitch in the next chapter or two from now, but other than that, but I understand why he's bitchy. So it's fine.
I love him.
I love him too. Like, he's so eminently likable. Like, honestly,
I like him.
The whole approach to like it's ironically funny. Like they come in and like Ingtar and Regan and just other people were like, fuck yeah, the Golden Crane. Like, it gets real positive. And then they get into the town and like every fucking farmer just looks morose as fuck. Like, well, we're about to die. But
they had to abandon their farms. They're freaking out.
It's just kind of like, this is a cool town. Like, Matt's making jokes about how like, are they all that attractive because we can't wear hoods? And they
hoods down, bitches. That's what I said. We've said that already, John. We're past that.
I'm bringing it up conversationally, you cunt.
I'm kidding, man.
And then also,
what do you farm in the Borderlands? What the fuck are they farming?
Metal.
Really good.
What the fuck grows? Potatoes?
Corn? Because they're making
cold as fuck.
What are they farming in Canada? Or Greenland or Iceland?
Barley?
I feel like this is colder than just a Canadian winter. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
We're not in the Arctic Circle. What do they farm in Scotland?
Well, they make whiskey. I mean, they have potatoes.
Well, that's why I said potatoes. Yeah. They just all eat potatoes.
It has the advantage called being on the water. I mean, parts of it, obviously. So, like you've got this thing that can't get below 32 degrees, always blowing air on you. Shinar is in the east, so it doesn't have that.
So Algamar's study.
I do enjoy Agamar, the, of course, great general.
Yes, until he gets tainted.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, he goes from being just 100% rational to insane later.
He holds it off really well. I think you see it from his perspective a lot, too, as well as Idoralde, but...
Idoralde.
Well, also Gareth Bryan, but from Gareth Bryan's perspective, he steps down like relatively early. They keep going, and they're like, we're fighting it the whole time. So I thought it was funny because the weapons racks on the wall, it mentions that there's a two-handed sword that's taller than a man. And then I was like, does he have a shard blade on his wall, guys?
Yeah. Robert Jordan wrote Sanderson's
Or Sanderson was like, wait, giant sword. I like that idea.
I like it. It's vaguely reminiscent of my Mormon penis.
Just like the sword of Godric Gryffindor, I'm going to rip off Harry Potter and write a series about it.
Which, by the way,
going to call it the Stormlight Archive.
If you're, one of those fucking
a child
goblins, but all right, because the goblin wanted it.
Yeah, Algamar explains how bad it is, and he basically pleads for their help for the first time of many times at this point.
Yeah. So, I like you said, I really appreciate the different weaponry that we see here. Like we see cavalry, we got lances and like giant swords from all that. And I also like just how like stark the whole building is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's built for war, Jono.
Yeah. Just like she's built like a ship, she's good to go, Joe.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about not having a Tarwin's Gap.
No.
You're talking about
she's good to go. Did you know the first time, or did you just?
Yeah.
Because I just watched your face just finally light up, and you light up my life.
Moraine explains why they can't go help him, and he's a little crestfallen. He was just like, "All right, fine." I mean, he keeps pushing it, but he's just like, eventually, he's like, "All right, I get it. The eye of the world's super important. How the fuck are you gonna get there, though?" And then they have dinner, just like Tom said.
I will go. What did you say, Tom?
Well, he's in the elevator.
All right. So I will say that, like, one thing that I kind of missed, like, I mean, I've known it, but I haven't really, like, the last several read-throughs, you kind of miss is the fact that the importance and direness, really, of this Tarwin's Gap battle is kind of almost under the rug. I mean, obviously, they think it's very important, but like, as opposed to every other year, because this is normal. It's just, Gap people versus other.
This is the kind of thing where this is why I don't understand what the fuck the Aes Sedai are doing.
That's
especially
exactly
the Green Aja. It's like, and they have such a good rapport with them. They're like, "Oh, you're honored here. We love you, Aes Sedai. Like, you're worth 1,000 swords." And
that's
it's just
where
like
I'm going. And
so if you do this every fucking year, and this year is particularly bad, but every Borderland is upset or assuming the attack is heading their way, so they can't send troops.
That's another thing.
Which they could be right, but it's like one of those things where it's like, why don't you write to Tarvalon and be like, "Hey, send up some ladies, help us out."
Well, so if Agamar seems to think that Moraine alone would make like literally a world of difference, why are they wasting
time
having
like 3 Green Aja and some warders and fucking like help these assholes out?
Well, why are they spending time having somebody like Elida embedded with Morghese when they could have just like one sister at every Borderland city at the least?
Fair fucking point. You know why? Because they're so focused on the Borderlands, they don't care about politics, which is all the Aes Sedai give a fuck about, apparently.
Well, there are.
It's so fucking annoying. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing? What does the goddamn tower do?
We do.
Why don't you have hospitals that like people can go to for free or something and like heal them? That's about the point.
We do know that each an advisor for every one of them. We know that. Yeah. Nothing between enough, but that's 4 or 5.
Well, Algamar's not the king; he's a lord of a fort city. So, like, the king theoretically has one in his.
He does
Salmora or whatever.
Yeah.
If we get into hospitals, they should. Then we're starting to look back towards the Age of Legends more than where we're at right now.
And so I get the insularness of them to an extent, but like I'm not talking about like freely, openly doing shit. I'm not saying there should be a hospital in every country and everything should be like magically awesome, but I'm just saying Tarvalon should be like a mecca for anyone that has a problem. You know, like anyone should just be able to go there and be like, oh, I lost my arm. You know, like not really though. Like
there should be,
or they don't illustrate it enough.
There should be at least one yellow sister in every city.
Yeah, like overseeing shit
in a clinic at the very least for people that need it.
It's probably not the right chapter for this, but I 100% agree. And I got
us off on a weird tangent here. Sorry.
No, but Joe, you started off the right point.
But I like this.
If Tarwin's Gap is an annual, semi-annual, or just kind of you look at
yes, thank you. Yeah, it's just like if there's a raid down from the blight, the fucking blight. Once a year. Why the fuck is there like 5 green sisters there every year?
You don't even need green sisters. Like Red of all people.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's technically like, they're like deal or whatever. You know, that's all I'm saying.
I would think that at some point over the years, like somebody would have gone to the tower from Faldar that would have been like, oh, I'm going to become green and go back home, kick ass.
Again, there have been. Like we see like sisters that are related to like the royal houses of.
And they all hang out in Tarvalon and they never go back and help them.
I mean, I guess we just chalk this up to the fact that there's not that many Aes Sedai anymore.
Technically, that's
what? Or that's a decent note. And also, we're assuming that they don't come back. But how would he know that Moraine is worth 1,000 lances if he hasn't had help before? So maybe we're being assholes.
Or he might be just basing that off like story and legend.
Possibly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like it's a slight. Not a
we're also basing a lot of this argument off the fact that we're pretty convinced that Tarwin's Gap is an annual event where they crown the Tarwin's Gap queen every year.
Well, you know what I'm saying. I mean, even if it's not, it happens frequently enough, though. And apparently they build up for long enough to where you could write to Tarvalon and back.
Someone wrote a song about it.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's been going on for literally millennia.
Yeah, they talk about it at dinner.
And not by
you see that segue? Now they're having dinner.
Multiple.
And they talk about the 2 rivers and what it's like to live in the borderlands. And Matt mentions the song, and they're all like, Matt, you idiot. We're not supposed to talk about the gap. They're all afraid they're going to die.
Maybe we just don't know enough at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to chalk that up to first book. It's hard to
yeah, there's that too. It's easy for us to go back from like later books and be like, why the fuck aren't they helping them? When it's like the first book and he's like, this isn't important right now. It's not a detail I need to worry about.
We know things 30 years later that he did not know when he was writing the first book.
Exactly. So it's kind of one of those things where like, I know I'm saying this with like a grain of salt of like, I understand all of that. I'm just saying, like, it's one of those things where you're just like, what the fuck? Come on.
It's interesting to talk about, but logic problems, dealing with where they deployed the Aes Sedai probably don't make a lot of sense for us right now.
Well, and to your point, like the book was written to be kind of a one-off, but I hope there's more kind of thing.
Right.
And you had a multi-book contract, but you still write a book expecting.
Also, not a great book if Moraine and Land show up and they're like, what's going on? They're like, we're going to Tarwin's Gap tomorrow, but don't worry about it. We've got 30 green Aes Sedai here, so we're cool. Where are you guys going?
Yeah, I know. I understand a reason to not have them there. I'm saying maybe you could have said something. It could have been a throwaway line, Tom, of like, "Oh, we wrote Tarvalon, but it wasn't in time," or something. Or they're like, "Yeah, in time."
They're just like, "Oh, thank God we invented that whatever device."
Yeah, they did ask Tarvalon. Would have been like, "Hey, you could have been our 6th out of 5, like out of our current 5. That'd be great." Oh, okay. Well, then fuck it.
Yeah, or we got a bunch of rookies here, but you're Marine.
Well, let's move on.
Loyal hope to see a grove there, and he's like, Trolloc Wars, bro. Nothing's left. Sucks.
So I appreciate here.
Agamar's a little less regal than I remembered him, dude.
Yeah,
he's really down to earth. He's really down to earth, Tom.
Trolloc Wars, bro.
Yeah, Brent thought
we don't dwell on what's gone, bro.
It's just a faux hawk. Agamar here is talking about how like what are these guys going to do? And Rand realizes like, oh, the power has to be relevant. And then his mind goes, no, don't think about that. Because clearly, I as we talked about before, I really think that...
I agree with you, Jono. He had an inkling. Tom's the only one that doesn't think that. And he's peeing right now on mute, so he can't argue with us.
There we go. Well, let's move on. Anyway, so like we said, Moiraine mentions that she's seen the Green Man, which is obviously she's done heroin. And then they socialize and smoke and tell poetry until Ingtar talks about.
Ingtar comes in with some news.
News.
We found a madman, and maybe from Lugard. I don't know. We tried to scale the walls.
I love the fact that Ingtar is awe-stricken, which means you should probably question Ingtar a little bit.
I think it's funny that why is he Darkman? I think it's funny that Ingtar comes in and says like, "Hey, I don't want to bother you. You told me not to bother you with small things, but we found this crazy ass guy. We throw him away, and then we found him like 20 minutes later. He's climbing the side of the fort, and he's just like, that's not small. It's a big thing. Bring him in here. What the fuck?
Yeah. We found this guy. Totally insane.
I mean, he's really dirty, covered in rags. We threw him away. Maybe from Lugard. We don't know. Weirdly, though, 20 minutes later, climbing the side of the fort.
He was holding the Y run from Super Mario Brothers and climbed all the way up the tower.
Yeah, he ate a feather and suddenly had a red cape on. He was running really fast. He jumped the wall. I don't know what happened.
He was throwing fireballs out of his mouth. Kept saying, "Blick it, blick it, blick it."
Moiraine kind of interjects
really
with,
big.
Any small thing this close to the eye of the world matters, and then they bring Fate in. And by the way, I haven't been going to our old tWoTcast episode much this episode so far because we blasted through this fucking section of this book so fucking fast. I was listening to us talk about the Green Man before I realized we had gone past the chapters that we were reading tonight because we weren't even saying like, oh, chapter 47, chapter 48. We just like said a few things and then suddenly the Green Man was there and I was like,
well, I mean,
holy
in all
fuck,
honesty,
we just blew past all of that.
They get to town, they have dinner, they chat a little bit, and then they ride horses.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole 3 chapters.
Maybe Tom and I did say it and then Joe edited it out. He's an asshole.
That's probably what happened. You got to keep that time down, Jono.
Meanwhile, take 2, still going. But wait, let's go back three paragraphs. You know what? I don't change.
Weirdly enough, the notes that we did say about that chapter were parents spotting the rust and how hilarious we thought it that Matt thought they were all handsome without their hoods on.
Yes, and I probably made both
notes we already recovered.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So they bring in Fane?
Fane.
Wait, are we doing that for Fane now? I don't like that.
No, I'm sorry. We shouldn't do that. More tales of the wheel.
Is this the... No, that's still in this. This is still this chapter.
I love how he immediately tries to get Algamar on his side, and like I just want to be like, you're not good at this yet.
Yeah, is this the first like multi-personality Fane we've seen? I mean, like in front of us, changed personalities as opposed to like maybe we've seen him acting differently at other times, but
no, you're correct. This is the first time we've seen Payne Fane
like that he's like truly fucking crazy.
like after what happened to him in Shadar Logoth, like we saw him as the beggar. But Rand runs away. Like, this is the first time we've seen him.
Right.
It's here's the shit.
It's just a few weeks after Shadar Logoth, and he's just like, all right, I need to be the advisor to a leader.
He now sounds like
Let's start with Agamar. Like, man,
the shadows.
This is you're not doing well.
I love, I mean, it's a quick throwaway thing, but I love how Moiraine like kind of walks around the table, stops by Matt and is like in his ear. And then he's like, and then like visibly relaxes. Like he's about to leap across the table and just kill him with the dagger or something. Or maybe join his side. What do you think that was?
That's a great question. Like, I had it in my notes and I said, you know what? We probably don't have time for this, but we do. Because I don't know. Like, why? It has to do with the fact that we really don't know.
I thought it was really cool.
It is. But we never know if the dagger that Matt has is an important artifact or not. because like there's times that it seems like that dagger is really, really fucking important to Peyton Fane.
Well, it's part of Fane, and
I know.
It's part of Matt.
Not now. Not now.
They're weirdly connected right now.
But is the dagger?
Fane is part of Shadar Logoth, and so is the dagger.
But what I'm asking is this: is that dagger 1 out of 10,000 pieces, or is that dagger the 1 out of 10,000 pieces?
I think it's one out of. I think it's 1 out of a billion, right? Even the smallest grain of sand or pebble out of that
she
place.
She says pebble, yeah. I think it's like the dagger is part of Shadar Logoth, but like
I know that
Fane is attached to Mordeth, Tom, which is evil from Shadar Logoth, and theoretically where that came from. But they're not like. Fane isn't connected to the dagger like he is later when he bonds with it, is what I'm saying. Like his obsession with the dagger comes later.
He mentions that dagger being so important. I think in book 4 or 5, like, and that's why I'm asking: is it the dagger itself that's important, or is it the fact that the dagger has escaped the city? Itself that is left.
I think if anything, he'd want the dagger to be like with Matt and like poisoning other people.
Yeah, spread it around
separately from him. Yeah,
make a little army.
Get down tonight.
I mean,
I like how he says he won't be compelled. Do you think he meant compulsed?
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
No.
Yeah, but as Tom was saying, he kind of like whispered. He's like, "I promise a way to defeat the Dark One." To like Algamar, and he's like, "What? I don't believe you."
Great Lord, you get good hand job if you do it.
It's baffling that Agamar.
Sorry.
Well, Agamar's the only one that's ever run into this guy. It's like, you're a dirty asshole.
Yeah, I know.
And every other person we see in the rest of the books is just like, oh, here's my advisor. He's homeless.
Don't worry about him.
But extremely smart.
I know he's wearing rags and we're in the middle of our court, but look, don't pay attention to his clothing or the smell.
He's streetwise.
He's quite smart.
Is it only because Moraine was there? What if Moraine wasn't there? If you would have walked in and Agamar would have been like, you make a lot of good points, and I want to subscribe to your newsletter.
Actually, I think he would have. Does he have a way to defeat the Dark One? Because he is it.
Oh.
I just like how the chapter ends with Moraine being like, all right, never mind. Don't watch him now. Watch him later. I need to talk to him now. This guy's fucking crazy.
Could Fane have defeated the Dark One? All of Fane's, or all the, the people that serve the Shadow were afraid of Fane.
Again,
later.
I would, later. Let's do it.
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, ultimately. Oh yeah, we have 2 more chapters.
Yeah. It's absolutely worth the conversation, and we'll probably get to do it 40 more times because you're drunk fuck, not me. But I think that the answer would have been yes, and all of a sudden no, because I love you, Sanderson, but you fucked it up.
So any show thoughts from that chapter? I just can't wait to see the Borderlands and Faldera in general.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Also, I can't wait to see Fane get crazier, but that's also the next chapter. So
I agree. I mean, it seems like a pretty straightforward chapter of like, you can make this done in 3 minutes. Like, right?
It's going to be cool to see Faldera, a Borderlands city, as compared to like Camelin at this point, or even Baron.
I love and that's I tried to mention like the weapons, right? Like we've got like heavy cavalry, we've got big ass swords and lances versus what the Queen's Guard needs, far smaller weaponry because they're not dealing with the same thing, at least in their current job duty. And like, it's really cool to see what's there. Is that it kind of runs the gamut of all sorts of the medieval and kind of early Renaissance weaponry.
Yeah.
All right, also, chapter 47, or not.
Well, real quick show thought from that chapter, and this is really for anything. Who's making all the tapestries for the show? Because there's tapestries fucking everywhere. And I really hope they're apportioning part of their budget to be like, look at this enormous tapestry. It stretches the side of the wall and it shows Borderlanders fighting Trollocs. Like, I want to see that shit. I know it's like a weird small thing to spend a budget on when you're trying to show magic and shit, but it's like, Jordan spends so much time on like the background details that like I want the environments to be rich, and like I hope they do a good job with that. We haven't really talked about that aspect of anything yet.
I feel like we're going to see a lot of cinder block walls.
Yeah, that's probably right. But one of the things that's cool about this is like, did you notice that like they want to keep it not too comfortable? So instead of it being a warm, cozy place, it's in fact just kind of like, yeah, it's 60 degrees. You know.
Yeah, Rand mentions that in the next chapter.
A really interesting idea. But, like, will you see that? No. Well, presumably there's not like a thermostat, but maybe.
That would be a big slip if they put a thermostat on the
wall. Look, we keep it at a crisp 65 in here. We don't want you getting too comfortable.
They're just going
power. They're assholes.
They're just riding to Fall Dar, and Rand checks his Apple Watch, and he's just like, "Oh my god, it's 60 degrees outside right now."
Chapter 47. More info dumping. I mean, Tales of the Wheel.
Hey, chapter 47, Tales of the Wheel. All right. The gang learns about Lan's and Fane's history. They go to bed.
That's literally the whole chapter. Moraine interrogates Fane. Rand's pacing around. Algamar's talking to the girls, and they giggle, and it startles everybody.
Yeah, and that's when somebody asks about Lan, and then we learn all about the Baby King.
Yeah, Matt's all tense, and Perrin has a red rocket, and then the girls ask about Lan.
Nervous boner, Perrin.
Wait, what?
Does he ever not have one? He should go to the hospital.
No.
He's got like a half pill of Viagra in his water at all times.
He won't go to the hospital, though, because then they'll find out that he's half man, half dog.
How many times did that happen at the hospital?
So many. So many times.
So, as you
had an erection for 12 hours.
Shit, you're half dog. Yeah.
Had an erection for 12 hours. Viagra? No, half dog.
Just half dog.
But also taking Viagra.
Somebody petted me on the back of the head. I just got hard. Hasn't gone away.
Cat scratched my ears.
A piece of steak fell off somebody's plate at dinner and hit the ground, and I just fucking.
I understand. Good boy. My dad was the same way. Good boy.
Oh, man. All right. Sorry. Yeah, do you want to talk about Lan's backstory, Jono?
This backstory is, of course, as you'd expect, I fucking love it. It touches on what happens in New Spring. It touches on what happens in Book 2, Book 4, and Book a lot later. Like, it's why Malkier falls. It's why Jane Farstrider, or a little bit of Jane Farstrider. It talks about Isom, who is, of course, integral to many, many books and many, many plots. And it's just a good dark friend story. It's fucking, for what seems to be, again, assuming there's only one book, a kind of throwaway, here's how his background is.
I'd read that book.
Great. Yeah, I would absolutely read. There's great intrigue. There's betrayal. There's great battles. Like, there's a lot going on, and it's all very just kind of well delivered, real quickly too. In like 5, 6 fucking paragraphs.
Yeah, it would have been great if
it goes on for quite a while.
Involved a little bit more of this.
It's pages.
Oh yeah, I guess it is. I'm sorry. Yeah, it does. Is it 4 or 5 pages, paragraphs?
Yeah.
It's incredible to read this long description about how Lan is this basically orphan king and this incredible hero. And then they followed up immediately with the same amount of pages about how Fane is a rat piece of shit.
Yeah, they do.
It makes him look that much worse.
It makes him look, he's scary as fuck. He's pure evil. Yeah, he horrifies.
Yeah, it's like, on one hand, here is this noble character where, like, people are placing this, like, almost like, consecrating this oil on his fucking head. Here's the sword, swear your oath. We're going to fucking fight to get you back with these guys' lives who are the best of the best, and they're still going to die en masse. And then on the other hand, here's this rat piece of shit. Like Tom said, it's just kind of like,
yeah.
That's just like, here's this kid that had the hardest life imaginable. and look what he became. And then it's like, and look at this guy that got a splinter one time. So he just sucked the Dark One's dick and became his hound. Like, Jesus Christ. It really, like, it must be, I suppose it must be that way. I don't know if the timing was right or if it's really to put in perspective what a piece of shit Thane is.
I love when Moraine walks back in the room and she washes her hands and then she's like, so here's Fane's story. He's fucked up. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It gets worse.
Tom's point.
It gets worse.
Yeah.
He's 40 years a dark friend, for starters. Like,
Dirty.
It's so fucking amazing. She's like, he's like super evil.
He really.
She's like, well, first of all, he led the Trollocs to Emond's Field. That was the least of the worst things he's done, and they're just like, holy shit.
That is not a good start.
That is horrifying. It's a bad start.
Not the worst thing he's ever done includes dozens of people dead, buildings burned,
and Trollocs like
irrevocable
1,000 miles south of the Borderlands.
Yeah.
That's not the worst thing he's done. Yeah.
What the fuck is this guy?
It's amazing to see the way he became, like, from here where he's just showed up sniveling and gave up everything to Moraine to the next book, which is like a few months later where he's like fully in control of his own evil.
Yeah, I think that's the scary part. When he becomes fully in control, you're just like, oh god. Now he can't even like. Now he just like staples fades to the fucking post.
He's like a scared little rat, and then he becomes like king of the dungeon.
Well, there's you know what else Fade did? No one else happens in the Wheel of Time. A guy with no eyes gets 2 nails driven through them, just like Mistborn. Brandon.
Sanderson, Melanie, and Susan. So here's
Shard Blades and Inquisitors, or whatever those guys are called.
Yep, you're right.
Come right down the Wheel of Time.
You know what else is taller than a man? Just like a Shard Blade? A broomstick to a child. It's a Harry Potter ripoff.
Oh my God, you're right. Well, we all knew Robert Jordan ripped off Harry Potter. I mean, that's...
Well, yeah. I mean, everything ripped off Harry Potter.
I'm just mentioning the parts where, like, Brandon Sanderson ripped off Robert Jordan ripping off Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, now you're 2 times.
Yeah, it's like a double ripoff.
So we forgot to mention, by the way, how wet do you think 90s pussy was upon hearing that story?
Oh, she got real quiet. She sat by herself.
She's just like, oh, I like this guy. And then she heard the story and she's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
You could put goddamn anything in her right now.
I mean, I was gonna marry him anyway, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And he thought this guy was hot. Fuck.
Another piece that I love is
Wait, before you move on. So we know that got her excited. How wet do you think she got when they told Fane's story?
Very.
Do you think she was torn for a minute there? Do we almost have a love triangle?
I think she was definitely torn by her own fingers.
Jesus Christ.
She's just like, I always found peddling fascinating as a profession. But now that I know all the horrible shit he's done, he's a steal.
Ooh. I could be a whore and peddle my pussy.
Ooh. I like land, but look at this guy. Is the exact opposite side of the coin.
Yeah.
And he hasn't taken a shower in months.
And you know what he's done? He has reached the level where some people think he may be the Dark One himself.
His musk must be impressive.
So I do love, of course, because I love every nuance, Agelmar, his thoughts on our good friends Rand, Perrin, and Matt are stupid fucking country oaf. They don't appreciate Moraine's sweet, sweet, velvety pussy. And,
it's ridiculous that, goddamn, decades later, I read that and I still get satisfied when he finds out that they're the ones that are going to save the world.
I agree. It's so funny because I'm like, fucking joke. Meanwhile,
I like that. And I like that character.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I like him too.
I don't know why I get that satisfaction where I'm just like, yeah, it's in your face.
Do you think he's chatting with the girls at the fire while the boys are just like pacing the room because he knows or assumes that the girls are going to help Moraine like save the world? Like they're like Aes Sedai in training.
Yeah, he's sure they can channel.
That's like 100% what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe he just wants to bang a young lady.
No, I don't think he definitely doesn't.
He's like, look, I'm a lord.
I'm a lord.
Lan could have been a lord. He's not.
He's just very good at hospitality.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, in fairness, Agomar's great at hospitality. He does his best.
Right, yeah, before they leave for the Blight, they have chocolates on their pillows in the morning.
I would love to read. I'd love to read that chapter from his point of view, or if it's like he gets exhausted having to entertain people all the time, and either he thinks that they're interesting because they're not the same people he has to entertain all the time, or he's like, Jesus Christ, seriously?
Country fuck.
I've got to put up with this just to make Moraine happy and Lan.
Where did these chocolates come from? My miserable butler dropped those off.
Miserable Butler.
Miserable Butler can never get into Faldera.
Yeah, he can.
He can if he's the guest of the Lord of Faldera.
Me lord. So in the middle of the Paid Fane story, we talk about how the fact that he was the guy most recently close to them in the ways, and that the Black Wind kind of consumed him and then run away.
Yeah, we glossed the fuck over that, by the way.
That goes from well, you're evil to we should second guess this guy.
Yeah, we mention it, but we don't talk about it. But
I'm talking about for Moraine, who's he's been old one thing back. I feel like you should probably delve into this area where.
Well, she says that.
Yeah, well, no, I know, but really,
it does feel like a failure on her part. If the Black Wind comes to you and it can't consume you, and it's I'm out of here. Maybe not put him in a regular dungeon.
Yeah, maybe have 50 people guarding.
I would put him on a boat to the tower immediately.
Or just put him in fucking shackles, right? Shackles.
Honestly, let's execute him.
Yeah.
Do they not hang people in Faldara?
I think she wants the information more. She specifically says she wants to dive more into it, but she doesn't have time. And that's obviously a bad move on her part, but not, in hindsight, but
it makes sense. And you know what? Shackles probably wouldn't do the job either, because the whole point is that he's released by, the guards. But at the same time...
Yes, however, we all know they're riding for the Gap. They all assume they're all going to die. It's worse than ever before. Moraine's not even going to go help them. What makes her... There's a bunch of old men and little boys guarding the keep while they're gone. What makes her think that Fane will still be there when they get back? That is kind of a dumb move.
That is weirdly, even though it doesn't affect anything that actually happens, kind of the best.
Yeah, granted it doesn't turn out that way, but
it doesn't. But no. Why not just slit this guy's throat? Because our chances
of you all getting back there and everything being okay is astronomically small. Just fucking murder this guy.
I fucking
I agree.
Well,
hold on. If you believe that Rand is the Dragon Reborn,
and I don't think
I don't think you think your chances are astronomically small.
All right, fair enough. That's a good point.
But if you think he's the Dragon Reborn, don't you feel like this is going to be a pretty big battle, and therefore...
I think it's more about the whole keep emptying out and them not being there for X amount of time while there's a bunch of old men and little boys guarding the keep.
How hard is it to put somebody in a cage of air and tie it off?
I don't know. Does she know?
She doesn't know how to make knots that untie it slowly.
Would it last forever?
Running out of oxygen, that'd be bad.
Not if you had bars.
Yeah, you can make the air any shape you want. It's like a Green Lantern ring, Jono, as we've discussed many times. Also, I don't know if you knew this, but Tom and I are both under the complete and obviously real assumption that you can make an Iceman slide and go anywhere.
Well, that's obviously true. It's obviously true.
Anyway,
marked at Shale Gold. Match and Jen fled from him. He understood some of the voices. I thought that was fucked up. and he kept looking up at the room, and they're like, "What?
They're kindred spirits."
Yeah,
she literally says the Dark One imprinted something onto him. So just leave it at that. There is, she even goes through this kind of 3 years ago, he had to be brought. A year ago, had to be through a dream. 3 years ago, we had the Dark One could flicker. What the fuck now? I feel like this guy's like, not to use a phrase that she doesn't know about, a gateway to fucking evil. Kill him.
Well, also, granted, she thinks it's the actual Dark One, and we all know it's Ishmael, but like at the same time, like that's still bad. Like the Forsaken getting out is still really bad.
That's a very valid point of
also, and I mean, for Moraine not killing him, it didn't matter. He did nothing.
Yeah.
And he died like a bitch.
Well, so Algamar gets really annoying at this point, and shifts gears from asking for her and Lan's help incessantly to asking if he can help them incessantly. He's like, just let me replace Ranmat and Perrin. They're just little boys, except for maybe him. He kind of looks like he can fight. Maybe the guy with the axe. I don't know. All right, maybe they look okay.
I just love this very kind of like basic, like she's like, these are the people who are going to be fighting.
Yeah, so Tom said, that is the most satisfying part. She's like, no, actually, they're the ones that are going to do all the fighting against the Dark One. So and then Loyal's like, oh yeah, it's because they're Taviran. And she's like, yeah, it's because they're Taviran. That's what it is. That's it. That's all it is.
Rewind a moment where she says,
where he almost gets his sword out.
Exactly. Well, he doesn't have one, thankfully.
Yeah.
You guys may be. It's like, no, dumbass. Let's say I am the channeler. You're still getting in the way of the guys who are fighting the Dark One. You're an idiot. If I am a channeler, still going to kill you. You're an idiot. Yeah, or if you're hearing something wrong and you misplaced it, you're an idiot. Come on, man. You're one of the great generals. Get your shit together.
Yeah, that was a weird move on his part.
He's not very perceptive for one of the, 5 great generals?
Yeah.
I think there's 5, yeah.
Yeah, it's 5.
Do we want to
go? It's 5.
It's him, Bashir, Brine,
Iturralde,
Pedro, Nile, and Iturralde.
Nile, yeah.
I can't believe we did that. Good work.
I'm kind of shocked we did too. I thought we were going to spin our wheels for at least 5 more minutes coming up.
You forgot number 6.
I honestly thought we'd be stuck on 5 for hours.
That's kind of what I was like, wow. Honestly, I don't think I would have gotten Pedro Nile. Weirdly.
Well, that's tWoTcast for this week.
Like, this. What's the 5th one? Oh.
When we started naming them, he just popped in my brain.
No, only one of the more interesting ones too.
So, do you have any show thoughts for that chapter, guys?
I feel like other than the distillation of what Paid and Fane is, probably
that's what I'm hoping for. I want some flashback craziness about him being like transformed into a dark, like kind of like Gollum style, being like tortured and like.
That's what this is, right? That's flashback of Lan too, right?
Or maybe like a bit of, hopefully they show a little bit of Lan's backstory visually, but honestly, if Algamar just tells the story, I'd be satisfied. What I want to see is Fane. Like,
I'd be happy if they did
the wind or something like crazy. Like you just being like, oh, crazy winds around me. I'm fine with it.
Oh yeah,
right away. How weird.
What must that?
It'd be cool to see that.
I guess I just have to film a guy in a dark room screaming at the ceiling.
Yeah. I think Joe's point is it could, and maybe they'll try to avoid it because it's so obvious. How they did Gollum's backstory in the movies is 100% translatable here. You could potentially just hold on to Lan's backstory.
Yeah, you could have Moraine being like, and then he did this, and they just cut away to like, just like,
there's an obvious point in the next chapter. When we go to the seven towers.
I weirdly want to see Lan's backstory animated like Samurai Jack or something.
That'd be so cool if this show was like super weird and like did like weird bits like that.
You can do a lot with the flashbacks, like a very cool animated shit.
That'd be kind of neat. I guess ultimately it's not the type of show I want this to be, but at the same time it'd be really cool if they did that kind of thing.
Are you guys ready for chapter 48?
Yeah, The Blight.
All right. Yeah, that's the title. All right. The gang rides into the Blight. Lan and a knave are in love. That's the chapter.
That's good. That is really good.
So they get there.
I wrote Ingtar is sad face because he won't make any of the fighting.
Does that make sense? By the way,
it makes sense if you think that he's torn because he's not a dark friend, like an evil dark friend. Like I think he still wants to fight. He just doesn't think they're going to win.
No. I'm doing typical Jono stuff, wherein I think of if he goes north at a normal pace and then has to get to Tarwin's Gap, and I've got a map about it. All you have to do is increase speed about 25% because all these other snakes of weapons are still trying to join up. Like
snakes of weapons.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're described as. You know, like,
I know.
If you really want to
steel serpents, Jono.
I mean, he leaves and they make camp. Like maybe if him and his company don't sleep, they could ride all the way there.
Don't they make it there in time? If I'm not remembering that right, don't they make it there like enough to see Rand do shit?
No, they get there right before Rand's attack, so he misses the actual fight.
Right, but he sees Rand.
You mean the creator?
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about. The creator.
Yeah.
Ooh, can't wait.
How else does he light his own pipe, bro?
Book 14.
Yeah, so he leaves them not understanding why that they're choosing to go into the Blight with 3 unseasoned fighters, and really annoyed that he won't be there.
If only Ingtard listened to any of our Royal Rumble episodes, he would know that they're 3 of the best fighters in the history of the world.
Yeah,
and 3 of the best friends.
Yeah,
nope.
that ever been had.
Everybody stopped and stared right at their camera.
It's good
because we're that 3.
It's funny because I don't look. I'm looking at the screens of you guys, so I'm never looking at the camera.
The best part is to me, Joe looks normal. I look insane. My beard's an extra inch long. My hair is longer. My eyebrows are insane.
Yeah, aside from my beard being a little longer, I'm not really that different.
Yeah, you look Tom has a bit of a beard, shaved hair. His pubes look weird. So I guess I look the most different.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you're definitely going quarantine crazy. Trim those fucking eyebrows.
I shaved my head. Did you do a Simpsons joke from fucking 90s?
yes, I did. And also it's sideburns, not eyebrows. But
I obviously know it's sideburns.
So the air warms up and everything's great except for it tastes like ass and they all start.
No. I really need to talk about the fact when Mattingly shaves the sideburns all the way across the top. It's
what did I tell you about the sideburns?
It's just a straight. You know, I worked at a Holiday Inn, doing catering stuff in college, and I just had the tiniest bit of stubble some days, and the manager would walk in and be like, "Oh, look at this guy! He's Magnum PI," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Every fucking day, I had no mustache, no nothing, and I thought of that Simpsons episode every time.
I'll tell you what, I remember, again, G. Brian Miller, Joe, complaining about the haircut, all the time.
Oh my God, yeah. And every time, do you know how many times I defended you from our boss? I'd be like, he's a bus boy, no one gives a fuck.
3 years. But what's funny is he never once told me, put your head in a fucking, I put a...
in a hairnet or something? On. Yeah, no.
It was just, get a haircut.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my God, all right.
He just didn't like that you were a hippie.
Yeah, well, let's finish this shit out. So, as you can imagine, I like these border towers. I think they're cool little fucking things that are you guys remember the
You're backtracking us?
No, I think the towers are awesome. It's and I mean, there's a lot of hints to the Lord of the Rings in this first book.
Exactly where I was going to go. It's just like those fucking towers, or you light it. And again, that's not a real original thing. They had that shit in many.
Yeah, that was in the real world. We had those things.
Yeah, but it's a really cool it honestly, what makes me think of is, why is it that, why are they here? Why not 5 miles further? Why not 10 miles further? Why not all of it? Like, how did you lose this much of Malkier is really where my mind goes every time.
Because, I'm always curious. They always say, like, we're beating back the blight, but I don't understand how. In book 4, there's a part where their Swan gets a message like the blight's receded like a mile. I'm like, how? How are they beating it back?
No, the blight recedes because of something Rand does.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, they're like, you know, they're saying like, oh, every year we lose the war with the blight a little more, and it comes closer. And like, but how?
Well, that's still beating it back. Like, you're losing ground, but you can still
with what pesticide? Are they digging plants out of the ground?
Yes.
Like, I don't understand it.
No, because the Trollocs are gradually moving them backward. It's like if you remember, they've passed through towers, which are the Shinar towers, and then they go forward to the mile marker where Malkier and Shinar are.
Because they're in the pre-blight.
Yeah, which, you know, has a little bit of drip. That happens.
Yeah.
There's no sperm in the pre-blight.
Stop laughing about a pre-blight.
You can't get pregnant in the pre-blight.
Yeah, exactly. The motility is low. Although I'll tell you what, my fruit's dripping. But so like every year the pre-blight gets further south. And like, you know, kind of where the Trollocs feel safe.
But it's still north of that protrusion. What did you call it?
Pre-blight?
No, the spear point of the blight that sticks out.
Oh, the Shadow's Lance.
Yeah, it's still north of the Shadow's Lance.
Of course, the pre-blight comes. Of course, the pre-blight comes out of the Shadow's Lance.
Fantastic. Thank you for going into that map in such detail, Jono.
You're welcome. So slowly it gets hillier and warmer and fucked up trees for the pre-blight pubes.
Yeah, I like how Loyal is like mad that the Dark One would hurt trees. It's like, this is what you're mad about?
Look, murder people, sure.
I mean, people can die. Fuck? People come and go. Bro? I'm 90. I've seen a whole generation of humans come and go. But trees? Really?
Technically, trees can live hundreds of years versus man who can't. So.
For Loyal, the Dark One is his neighbor that didn't water his plants when he went out of town, even though he said he would.
He comes back, his tomato plants are eaten to death by bugs. He's like, what happened?
He's like, Bob in 408 is the devil.
I like
so Perrin's kind of acting like a badass here. Not inexplicably to them, not us. Matt wants to cool off his head in some water, and they see the Loch Ness monster.
Well, I mean, let's go back to Perrin real quickly, because like Matt, like you said, is vomiting. Like Matt can't fucking hold his shit together. Rand's just like deeply uncomfortable, but Perrin just looks angry. Like, again, we already know that Rand's the chosen one. That's clearly obvious. But, you know, on a throwaway kind of obvious, like, maybe it's not Rand. Like, it's still Jordan being, you know, there's other characters here too.
Maybe it's Perrin.
Maybe it's Perrin.
We don't know. He's got a red rocket dick.
Yeah, look,
I definitely know it's not Perrin.
Hey, remember Perrin had fur capris? When did we make that joke up? I guess I'll let us know.
Yeah, clearly we're not there.
Are you asking us?
I don't know. They stopped for camp.
Well, hold on. Let's go back to this. How is it Matt is so good at drinking later on, and yet can't hold his shit together just with fucked up trees?
I mean, they're all sick to their stomachs.
Well, no woman barf.
This is pre-badass man.
No other man barfs.
He's still acting like a little bitch that judges horse flesh.
What I'm going to say is Matt's just a bitch right now.
Yeah, no, he is. Yeah, I completely agree.
If this were like Dungeons and Dragons, something like that, like that dagger.
Like Dragonlance.
Yeah, like that dagger at -5 from drinking for Constitution. You will vomit every time you got it.
Everyone disappears from Rand. He starts to freak out, and then he turns out it's just Moiraine's ward because Lan walks back out and he's like, "Get in here, you idiots!" When they go inside,
it's a really cool, strong ending of this chapter. Like we see the Seven Towers, we see the lakes, and then of course we also see this giant, weird worm combination with Medusa and hands.
It is hilarious that he's trying to involve every like myth and creation legend like throughout the books, and while they're hunting for Bigfoot, they see the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, it pretty much. Like, he had just finished reading the part where they go into in Lord of the Rings, where they go into the mines of Moria, and that giant fucking.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Oh shit, that's brilliant. Also, let me rewrite that. It's got hands, but it also has no bearing. And of course, my mind went to useless douchebag that I am. Like, who falls prey to that? Why are you going to that?
If you're the Blake, you're like, let me just get some water.
I felt the same thing.
You
watching them.
You're the fucking Blight, you idiot.
Go drink. Like, are Trollocs going to go drink some water there? You morons! Like, what the fuck is eating?
Maybe they do. Maybe they send like 17 Trollocs in a row to get water from the water hole, and then maybe 5 of them come back.
I love that idea.
It's all just a numbers game with Trollocs. They don't care. They're just
you and you 40.
Bring me back some water. You peck. Niniave brings Lan some tea, and they have a long conversation about love and wedding dowries of death. It sounds pretty cool.
So before we finish this chapter, 2 things that interest me. One, apparently, according to Nynaeve, Egwene is actually strong enough to make wards. She's right at the edge.
She's been practicing.
No, she hasn't. Yes, she has. And then secondly,
not everybody's supposed to know about it. And we also need to talk about our twat TV show thoughts before we end this chapter too, Jono.
Oh, well, real quick then. I love how dumb Rand is, where all of a sudden, like, that ward appears in front of him, and he's just panics, and Lance just goes, "You stupid fucking sheep herder." Just pushes him through an invisible wall.
I mean, he's been having some weird fucking nightmares, so it's not that strange that he's like, "Oh shit!" Like waking nightmare.
Well, obviously, this is a ripoff of Harry Potter Book 7, Part 1, where, like, where Hermione has put up that
Hermione.
What are you talking about?
Hermione has put together after they go through the fucking thing. And
Mari.
Ron's been split.
Jesus. Get it right. It's Hermione.
Hermione.
I found that name very hard to pronounce when I was just reading the books before the movies came out, to be fair.
Oh, I always pronounce it.
I wish I could remember how I pronounced it when I read.
I think I got relatively close, but it took me 100,000 times of reading her name out loud in my brain before I...
It took. But anyway, so I
that was a reach, but I liked it.
Around?
Yeah, it took.
All right. But anyway,
You're breaking up a little, Jono. Sorry.
Oh, no, don't break up with me.
I always enjoy the fake freeze.
TV show thoughts, all I have is, holy shit, first on-screen Blight. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah. What else would there be?
I don't know.
The Loch Ness monster.
Yeah. Also, there's quite a few soldiers at the end of this book, and how's that budget looking? That's all I have to say about that part.
We didn't really dive into the very end of this chapter.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I was just I was kind of interspersing TV show's thoughts with the end of the chapter.
I think that they go hand in hand. Is like, this is probably the perfect time to we lay out a lot of kind of like just their feelings for each other. You could be my warder. I don't know what the fuck that means. Like Nynaeve, like, really kind of like touches him and talks to him, and like it's a real conversation and a real kind of like we see them for the first time.
Mm-hmm. I forgot just how much of their love story, I guess, was in this first book.
Well, I feel like if you're not paying attention, this is the first. Yeah. But if you pay attention, it's there way back with like the first right after Sheol. Yeah, it's like, I mean, not Sheol. I just
got done reading the part in Shadow Rising where he storms into the room and he's furious because he didn't know she was going to Tanchico.
Oh God, yeah, he is a fucking beast. I love it.
That's a great part.
It's so like what's fascinating about it is how it kind of fits with today's like a man doesn't have to be overly fuck
but in
you.
the bedroom he is.
Screaming.
You follow Land's culture.
Yeah, and then like she just looks at him and she's just like, "What do you have to say, bitch?" And he's like, "I'm so sorry."
I guess I'll keep quiet until later on when we're alone.
Yeah. Well, then fuck you in the end.
It's interesting that Egwene is this kind of the only. I mean, they've been kind of bickering the whole book, but like, this is the last little bit of like, we're theoretically sort of not really a name at all, but kind of betrothed, and like maybe you should come to Tar Valon and we'll all hang out together, and like you could be my warder and all that stuff. And I'm just like, it already feels false, like even at this point, you're just like, what? Come on.
Here was your favorite chapter too. Was where Egwene's just kind of like, you guys. Oh, it is in this chapter. Like Egwene's just like, oh, I kind of want to go to like. Nynaeve said, like, I'll be happy to go there, I guess, to Tar Valon. And Egwene goes like, you should come too, Rand, and you Matt,
and you. We'll all be together. Holy shit.
So let's do this.
You've got no idea what's going on. You're so enamored with the idea that you can channel. You have no clue what the fuck's happening right now.
No, you don't even judge other people's interest. Like
she's very excited to go to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Well, it's true, which is fine. But it's like, don't do that at the behest of everything else. And also it's just like Rand's going to Tar Valon because he has to keep the two rivers safe. He doesn't want to be there.
Well, even like she doesn't need to know that, but let's just pretend like, hi, I'm Egwene. I want to go to the Tar Valon. Like, what would you want to do? Like, Nynaeve, like, well, first off, I hate everything about this, but I know I've got that ability, so I guess I'll go. What about you, Matt?
Yeah.
I don't like anything about Aes Sedai, but we're friends, so maybe. What about you, Perrin? Well, clearly you've seen my formative parts where I killed some people. I don't really like getting around judges and things like that.
I'm going to go live in the woods. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than I'm trying to, there's something about me no one needs to know.
You know what I got to say? Since you brought it is very strange that Egwene is still just like very normal after having seen one of her childhood friends murder people.
Murder two people in front of her. It's to keep her safe.
That squirrel told me to kill them all.
It's still pretty dark.
It's really fucked up.
Joe, if I watched you murder two people with an axe in front of me, I wouldn't 2 days later just be like, don't you miss home?
Yeah, let's all hang out together later. Let's go hang out.
I'd just be like, are you fucked up in the head?
Especially because like 12 hours, no, it's 2 or 3 days after that. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm fucked up. Just before that, before killing a couple of people.
Or you're just like, oh, it's because he's part dog.
But even before that, Perrin was already giving her a murder look. Just staring at her.
Might have killed her.
I should kill you. And then it kills 2 other people.
Do you think people listening to this will go crazy if we keep saying Perrin's part dog instead of saying wolf?
Probably, yeah. Like 100%. We've already gotten like 17 angry tweets about it, and it hasn't even aired yet.
Oh, shit.
Ren pretends to sleep so Nynaeve doesn't know that he knows she's crying, but he does know. And what he doesn't know is that she suspects he's faking being asleep because she knows that he snores, even though he swears that he doesn't. And he's not snoring now, so maybe he's awake, but she's too upset to care and keeps crying. End of chapter.
It's so...
That's the wrap up?
That's the wrap up?
That's tWoTcast for this week? That's it? I guess if you have any comments or questions about crying, the best way to find us is on Twitter at tWoTcast.
Listen wherever you get your podcasts. Fucking nailed it.
You're welcome.
You can email us, twotcast@gmail.com.
You can join us in conversation on our Discord server, permanently linked at the top of our Twitter profile. We're kind of just using it as a gigantic text thread right now, so there's really nothing going on there other than us just hanging out.
And texts.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. I'm on it, and I don't have alerts set, so if you say something, I won't see it.
Set alerts to it, Tom.
Okay, I'll do that.
That's the script.
We're on Patreon now. That's patreon.com/tWoTcast. If you enjoy the show, help us out and give us $1. Also, thank you to Andrew for joining our Patreon and being a new patron. Thanks to all our current patrons who continue to help us out. We know everything's kind of up in the air right now.
tWoTcast theme song brought to you by the one, the only, Taffy Benningtons, plural. Oh, there's 2 of them. At Sing with Taffy on Twitter and on Anarchy101 on YouTube.
Join us next week for the Wheel Time Book 1, The Eye of the World, Part 14, covering chapters 49 through 53. Is that the end?
Yeah, that's the end, yeah.
49 through the end.
14 parts a book. That's what we're done.
That's it. You've been listening to Jono.
Jono!
Joe.
Keep the change, you filthy animals.
I'm Tom. Study your mouth.
All right, everyone shut the fuck up.